So there you go. But Chris Ayers is going to give his review for the film The Royal Hotel. So, Chris, let us know all about this.
Yeah, this is the newest movie from Neon, who, along with A24, is kind of becoming like sort of a powerhouse indie studio. They're putting out a lot of interesting stuff like Parasite and Palm Springs and whatnot. And yeah, this is about two Canadian women in their 20s, played by Julia Garner, I hope I'm getting her name right, from Ozark, and Jessica Henwick, who you've seen in a bunch of stuff, Iron Fist, Glass Onion most recently. And yeah, they're on vacation in Australia, and they end up getting a job running this bar that's inside this hotel out in the middle of nowhere, just to kind of make some quick cash for about 3 weeks. And yeah, it's run by Hugo Weaving, and like right off the bat, there's sort of an air of menace to the whole thing. Like when it first starts, like they're partying, they're at a rave on a boat, they're having fun, they think like, oh, this is gonna be a blast, and then like the first, like you see Hugo Weaving there, the first scene with him, he says some shit that's like, yeah, that's kind of like red flaggish, and then they actually get to work running the bar, and the patrons start saying more and more like sort of off-putting shit, and yeah, that just kind of progresses, and it also leads to something of a conflict between the two of them, because like Julia Garner's character, she can see the signs like right away, like, yeah, we're not in a good situation right now, like maybe we need to get the fuck out. But Jessica Henwick's character is more of like the free-spirited sort of party girl, and she's like, nah, this is fine, it's a different culture, they do shit differently here, like it's fine. And then that sort of just kind of escalates more and more as the movie goes on. Like at first it seems like, oh, all right, it's a little weird, but we can make this work. And then eventually it keeps building to a point where it's like, yeah, I don't think we can do this. And especially like there's one character who like seems like they're kind of like, yeah, I don't trust this person. And then they exit the movie, and then once they're gone, shit just gets worse and worse and worse. And it's not a horror movie, but it does have a lot of scenes and moments and plot points that are very reminiscent of a horror movie. Like that shot they just showed in the trailer with the snake. Like when it pops up, it's a jump scare moment. You're like, oh shit. And yeah, you never, once the unease like really starts to kick in, it just kind of never leaves. Even though there's still moments of like fun with these two characters during the movie and some funny moments, you're still like in the back of your mind, it's like, yeah, I don't know about this whole thing, and maybe you need to just leave or figure out your way out of this whole thing.
Okay. So it's Jessica with Julia Garner, Hugo Weaving in here. What would be kind of like something you could compare it to that could be kind of like it's similar to this kind of?
In a weird way, it's a little bit similar to something like Midsummer. Like, even though, like, there's nothing supernatural going on in this movie, like, just to get that out of the way. It's like, it's a grounded drama thriller, so there's no supernatural stuff. There's not, like, a cult who's, like, been conspiring against these two girls, before the movie started. It's just kind of one of those things where it's like, you go to this place outside of where you're from that you've never been to before, and you don't know, like, what it's like there. You don't really know what the rules are. And when weird shit starts happening, you're just like, this could just be how they do things. And so I've got to just try to be polite and just kind of ride with it and go along with it. And then eventually that just keeps going. And it reaches a point where it's like, okay, this is what's going on here is not okay. Like maybe shit's about to go sideways fast. So it's a little bit like that. And yeah, like I said, it never really tips into full horror, but it still has a sense of menace that never really goes away. And it's carried really well by a lot of things. Like the camera work, it's a really well shot movie. Like they pick a lot of really good frames to show like the landscape and like how isolated this place is. Like there's really only a couple of different locations that they go to throughout the movie, and they're not very far from the hotel. So you get the sense of like, yeah, they're kind of just off by themselves, and there's not really any sort of help nearby. So that increases the sense of dread. And it's also carried really well by the performances. Hugo Weaving, yeah, he's a fantastic actor, and he's not in the movie a whole lot, but he is like when he's there, he manages to convey a sense of charm, but also a sense of like, yeah, I don't trust this guy, which he's kind of perfected at this point. Jessica Henwick, she's been in a lot of stuff that's not very good, but she was like one of the better parts of like The Gray Man. I didn't like the movie, but I was like, she's got like potential. And then The Matrix 4, another movie I didn't like, but I liked her character. She was like one of the cooler parts of that movie. And she was the only good fucking thing about Iron Fist. Like, you watch that show and you're just like, why wasn't she the main character? Like, what the fuck? Why do we have to stick with this whiny little brat? And yeah, she was great in Glass Onion, and she's really good here. She's a really like reliable like supporting actress who I feel like if she got the right role, and like if this movie like ends up being like a big breakout hit, I could see her like getting more and more leading roles and becoming more of a star, because I think she's got the talent for it. And Julia Garner, who is really like more of the main character of the movie. It feels like we spend a little bit more time with her than Jessica Henwick. She's fantastic. Like, I didn't really get into Ozark that much. Like, I watched the first episode or two and was just kind of like, yeah, this really just feels like Breaking Bad's hand-me-downs. And I don't think I've seen her in anything else, but her performance in this like makes me want to give Ozark another chance, because she's a really, like, both of them, they're really like they seem like they're just cool, you know, like they're really charismatic. You like spending time with them, and when shit starts to happen, you feel, you know, nervous for them, because they're really like engaging and just, you know, really charming presences, and they manage to sell all the emotions that they're going through, the sense of like, oh yeah, this is going to be awesome, and then like, oh shit, what the fuck is going on, really well. And so they do a really fantastic job of carrying this movie. Like, just honestly, I wouldn't say it's like, oh, this is like one of my favorites of all time, but it's a movie where I can't really think of anything it does wrong, or anything where it'd be like, yeah, I'd probably like change this if I could. It's like, no, everything it sets out to do, it does in a really effective way. And yeah, I'd highly recommend it.
High tune in from you.
Yeah,
Okay.
high tune in. If it's showing near
Mm,
you, definitely check it out.
okay. Would you give it like maybe even higher than that, like a peak?
Uh, I don't think so, but it's one of those things where it's like, it's not like a life-changing movie. Like, at the end of the day, it's a really simple, straightforward story that it's telling, but it does a really good job of telling it. And if you're into these kind of like slow burn thrillers that aren't supernatural or anything like that, but still have an air of menace the entire time, then yeah, I'd say this is right up your alley. So yeah, high tune in.
Yeah. From the trailer, it kind of looks like it's something similar to like Men. You ever see that movie?
Yes, I did. This is a way better movie than Men. I did not like Men at all. Like, Men just got way too far up its own ass for its own good. Whereas this one, it's way more grounded, and it does just a better job of juggling all the different things it's trying to do.
Hmm. Okay. So high tune in from you for the Royal Hotel.